Dan and Natalie, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Neil.
So today we're talking mid-century modern, which is my personal favourite. Can you tell us a little bit about what is mid-century modern design?
Yeah, so mid-century modern is a post-war design movement where architects and designers were quite expressive with their forms but with limited resources. It's about bringing the outside in through and then also having the vistas out to the gardens and vegetation.
So can you describe the feeling of a mid-century modern design?
The feeling it's warm and inviting. The use of natural materials, high ceilings with lots of glass, just brings that light and airy feeling.
That warm, and you've got bespoke furniture that you can use. Those horizontal lines of bringing that transparency with the large glass inside, outside.
I feel like I think of less is more. There's just not much clutter, is there? It's just real simple, clean. Yeah, and it just kind of looks good from years to come. You spoke a little bit about natural light and open expanses connecting in with nature, which ties me to my next question, well-being. Can you tell us a little bit about how you design to cater to that?
Yeah, so our design, we've tried to create it around a central courtyard. So we've got different spaces that utilise different, say, fitness areas or whatnot. So we've got Pilates studios to the rear, we've built in sauna, we've got a raised fitness deck so you can do outdoor fitness there, and also got a sunken pool. So trying to keep different spaces but focally around the house so you see it all the time. Yeah,
and I can see in the design having that kind of C-shaped design, you can kind of look at the kids in the pool, you've got vision throughout the home. It seems pretty smart the way you've laid it all out.
Yeah, and family friendly as well. It allows you to grow in the home. That Pilates studio for your well-being could also then interchange with a retreat area or somewhere for your parents if they're coming staying, or your kids just to have a bit of downtime.
We've also tried to incorporate all the landscaping, so if it's a very important thing in that well-being is to have the landscaping around different spaces. So it kind of gives you the mixture of the soft landscaping and the hard different finishes. So.
Yeah, connecting in.
Yeah, which I think works really nicely with the design of the mid-century modern.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always focused on a lot with my designs that we do with mid-century modern. Yeah. If you don't have the landscaping, it can be very boring, the structure and the shape. So it's definitely a good one to really liven up the house.
And complement the house, definitely.
So you mentioned a Pilates studio, a pod, all these things that are flexible, flexible living and adaptable living. When you're designing these, you're obviously designing for what might happen in the future. Sure. Can you go into some other design features that you do in mid-century modern to tick that box?
Yeah, so we're just trying to be interchangeable with our spaces. So it doesn't have to be a Pilates studio. If, say, like one of your kids has to come home and need a space, you can interchange that, put a bathroom there quite easily and make it another bedroom. You could also use it for, work from home studio or whatnot. Yeah, so our designs incorporate flexibility by being interchangeable. Say, like, if when your child comes home and you need to find more space, you can interchange the space to be a bedroom. So you can quite easily add a bathroom in there or, make it home studio. There's different ways we can incorporate different spaces to suit their lifestyles.
And as this is a separate area to the main residence, it can even be a work from home space or even coming back to that wellness side of things, that Pilates studio, gym workout area. And then especially in the mid-century modern design that we have, where it's that C shape, it gives you separate confined living areas to where the retreat or the bedrooms are as well. Just helps to balance out that well-being by giving you your own space in the home.
Yeah, that modular aspect, I could see that being very easy to sort of segregate. And so we might, Airbnb that, or we might rent that, or grandma's coming over, put her there.
Especially at this point in time across Australia when housing is so difficult, by having that ability to put modular inside your backyard or an addition to your family home in using it for wellness, for that Pilates studio or if you have your grandparents coming to stay, it's really adaptable and flexible.
Yeah, because you think about some, stages of life. You got your kids wanting to do dancing or whatever it is at that point in time. But that's only a small part of that building's lifespan.
Sure.
In 5 years' time, you're going to want something totally different. So having that flexibility is key, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So you mentioned the word modular before. We can see it's a really nice mid-century modern design and it's set up in modules, but modular is your gig, right? You guys just do modular designs and builds.
Correct.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the difference between prefab and modular? I know even for myself it is confusing.
Sure. Modular is a form of prefabrication. So it's a type of build methodology where it is built in a controlled environment in a yard. For example, we have a yard where we will build the home in its entirety. So the floor, the walls, roof, the external cladding, like on the mid-century modern with the James Hardie product. And then from there, we will transport the home. So it's transported in modules, which is why it's called modular, and to certain sizes depending on the transport requirements, and then it is put back together on site basically. So there are several advantages of building this way, especially at the moment during this housing crisis or the labour shortages that we're experiencing. Build timeframes are generally down to around 12 to 16 weeks to build a modular home. And that is because it is in a controlled environment, precise building, build quality, that type of thing.
Yeah, that sounds like the dream, to be honest, to be able to control the build quality, to have all your homes getting built in one place where you can walk around and see all of it.
Yeah,
it's kind of like my dream. I wish, because my jobs are all over the place, so I'm like, I can't get that side of New South Wales and that side in one day. Like, I'm never going to see that go together. But having that supervision...
Definitely, yeah. Some of those advantages are around, I think, particularly that supervising of the build, where we can have all the builds happening in one location. All of our trades come to that one location. We've been able to form really good relationships with our trades, so they are just coming to that one location, which also has an impact on the environment around us, because we don't have our trades going to multiple sites in multiple different locations. They're just coming to the one location. The same with all our material drops as well. It's just coming to that one location.
Which I'm sure the neighbours of wherever that house is ending up, I'm sure they would love that, because they've got much less headache with the noise. Most construction, where you guys are from.
We recently just had a client complete their home with us, and they're building in a regional area where they're very focused on the environment and their impact on the environment around them. They're completely off-grid, so when we delivered the solution for them in a modular format, they had the solar panels and that type of thing. And one of the key decisions factors for them in selecting modular is that we weren't on site for a year to 2 years. We're in a yard and then we're delivering a finished product to her, and that on-site installation was about a week. So a big difference.
That's a game changer.
Yeah. And the quality of that product that she has is just absolutely amazing. You've got that supervisor there every day with the trades as well, knowing what's happening across each home, which I think is really important.
So Natalie, you mentioned pod sizes or modular sizes and truck sizes. I mean, naturally people would be thinking, you see a truck driving on the road and it's pretty small really compared to a house.
Yeah.
I'm sure this influences the way you design. Can you give us a bit more insight in how you kind of work through that and design to that?
Yeah, sure. So it's just using a different range of module sizes. So obviously we can go to a maximum width of 5.5 and a max width of probably max length of 15.5. Wow. So and also that can be larger and smaller depending on what you do. Is 1 module, 2 module, 3 module. We can use a range of different modules to put together to build the house.
And some of the advantages that come from that is limiting your waste as well, because it is a set size of modules and it's still completely customisable and flexible in what your design may be, whether that's mid-century modern or something other than that, just to get that look and feel rather than just being a box.
So building off-site, from what I could imagine, I don't do that, but I can imagine you would have so much more control over how the house is put together in, I guess, a factory setting.
Yes.
The materials that you use are obviously hand-picked to cater to the Australian climate and, in all different zones that you guys would deliver your houses to. Yeah. Can you go into a bit of detail of what sort of things that you do to basically handle, with resilience and everything that you design to? Yeah,
that's correct, Neil. So we do deliver throughout Western Australia, which has different regions, whether that's cyclonic, the bushfire ratings, and that's where the specification or the selections of materials comes into play through that design of being resilient, which is why some of our products on the mid-century modern design essentially answer that question for you.
Yeah, so we actually used, with the Axon and the Struer and the James Hardie deck can be up to about 40, so they're quite resilient in the bushfire environment and the ratings what's required.
So a bower rating is dependent on how close you are to the forest, the shrubs, trees and that type of thing, and it goes through different stages, and that's why it has been really advantageous to have James Hardie rate their products up to about 40 or about FZ, which is FZ is the flame zone, and some of that is decking, which our clients have used as well, just to ensure that we are achieving their design brief while also being able to build in that that bow rated area.
Because a lot of people would know that. Like, people naturally think, oh, I'm in a bushfire zone, I've got to go brick and concrete.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost a whole lot of money. It's going to take 2 years. But you guys can solve that with this lightweight product.
Definitely.
Yes,
that
you
can
can
get installed in, what did you say, 10
yeah,
days?
12. Yeah.
That's incredible.
So, yeah, the manufacture of it is around
Yeah.
12 weeks, and then installation's about a week. But, utilising that different build methodology, it is steel or wood framing, and then using an external cladding on that as well. And, yes, with some of that cost-effective James Hardie product, just has enabled us to do that and meet the design brief for our clients.
And obviously you guys are creating a brand behind this and trying to hit that high-end sort of residential market. Having a product that's resilient and durable must be so important, because it doesn't take long for everyone to know, oh, that fell apart, or that, you've got to have a quality product to sell.
Yeah, 100%.
So I would assume that designing these modular homes in mid-century modern, there would be a lot of challenge when it comes to energy efficiency, because we all know mid-century modern is just loaded with glass, floor to ceiling. How are you guys combating that?
There's different ways around it, and obviously each site is site specific, so it depends on orientation and whatnot. But we can review and look at high performance glass, so we can double glaze, triple glaze. You can look at low E glass, but also with mid-century modern, you get lots of large eave overhangs, so that helps with your energy ratings.
And as Dan mentioned about the orientation of your modular home on your block, that can really impact the energy rating that you're targeting, and the addition of insulation. That can be under slab insulation, wall insulation, ceiling insulation as well.
And are you mainly doing, do you build the subs floor, or do you have a slab on site?
Yeah, we actually have choice for our clients. So you can either choose between a concrete slab, which is very similar to that of a traditional home, or you can go a steel frames floor. And then on top of that, we can have the type of finishing that you would like: carpet, tiles, vinyl plank, or a hybrid floor. Some of our clients who have a concrete floor go the polished concrete look, which is what we've done for our mid-century modern home as well.
And that would work really well with all that glass kind of heating up.
Warming up the slab.
And that gives us the opportunity as well just to do that underfloor insulation.
So I'd love to talk to you guys more about budget. I know my whole business has been modelled on building fast, because I put a massive emphasis on how much it costs to hold property while it's getting built, and a lot of clients overlook that. I'd love to hear, I can see you guys have a really good product for speed, and that would ultimately save money. Can you give us a little bit of insight into that?
Yeah, I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head there regarding the speed of the construction process and the holding costs for the individual person. In that build efficiency of building a modular home in that 12 to 16 weeks, you don't have the extra rent, mortgage repayments and that type of thing. The beginning stages of choosing a modular home versus a traditional build methodology home are exactly the same, in a sense. You go through a design process, you go through that administration process, you get to have the finishes and fixtures that you would like. And you tailor that to the budget? Correct. So if you come to us... Fully custom, everything's custom. If you come to us with a budget, we have a standard specification of products that we use, for example, the James Hardie product. But if you come to us with a budget in mind, that is one of the advantages of modular, and being able to make that larger to suit your family needs, or reduce the size to suit your budget needs, or what you're actually using this residence for. Is it for a short stay accommodation? Is it for your main residence? Do you need extra space? Or do you have a heritage listed building that you need to actually renovate or do an expansion out the back? So that's a great opportunity for people to actually investigate modular for them and work within their budget. So do you do renovation, so you can just crane these into a heritage and connect it? Yeah, we actually have done some projects. One, we're from Western Australia, so in East Fremantle, where we have craned on a second story over an existing car park, and it turned out really well, and it's used as a residence. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I guess as you're constructing, you're buying in bulk, obviously. It's construction all in one place, buying in bulk, so that would surely save money. Yeah, in terms of on the modular side, it's that waste management as well, I feel, where you're building precisely. There's less vandalism or theft that you may have on traditional builds and that type of thing, because you're in that controlled environment in a factory, not exposed to weather or weather damage.
That's a massive one.
Yeah.
Because these days when you can't get any trades, and you drive past builds that have just been sitting there exposed to the weather for so long.
Correct.
To the point where you nearly have to pull them down to go again. Controlling that must be a massive, that you're wiping that contingency out.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, so there's also efficiencies in where we design. So with the mid-century modern house, we've utilised 2 stria boards, but we made sure there's no cuts. So it's pure, effectively it's 600 mils and that's it. And there's no cuts on top or bottom. So it makes it more efficient, less waste.
Which is not normally thought out to that detail. Like a lot of designers just go, I want a parapet at this size. They don't even know what products are really the client's going to use. But to go to that extent and go granular on every little detail, I'm sure would save a hell of a lot of money.
There's also efficiencies with the Versalox board lining we're using through the carport and the main house. So obviously, as you can see, the main house is modular, but the carport is built on site. But by use of using the Versalox with a negative join line, it seamlessly blends the house together, so you won't notice it. It's actually a modular home.
And some of that level of detail just enables us to actually build that home in a precise manner. We have to do fabrication drawings, and then we roll form the steel, which is making maybe the floor, the wall framing, roof framing, and then all those little details are thought out to minimise waste as well.
And I'd say you'd minimise a lot of defects because you kind of don't have room for error. So they can't. If you build these things to clip together.
Yes.
Our tolerance is to a female.
Yeah, like if they're not bang on, they're not going together. So it kind of wipes that out too.
We actually build them together in our yard. So it's fully constructed, and then the client does an inspection of their home, and then it's separated for transport.
Oh wow!
And then it's put back together on site. Yeah.
Wow, that is incredible. So they've literally got a finished product that they've already inspected before it's sent.
Yeah, and then we're just connecting surfaces on site.
So you mentioned Versalox. What do you use that for?
Yeah, Versalox, we're using that in the ceiling.
Yeah, you've used it in the mid-century modern design because we are building the modular off-site in our yard, and then we're actually attaching the carport on-site. So we do have some trades that come out if clients want to do the carport extension. Through Dan's design, we've been able to utilise this product, which gives that negative detail, allowing us to join the modules together seamlessly.
So you've got expressed joints anyway, so you're just looking across and you're not really...
So you won't tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, and we've used a negative detail style also internally across door openings sometimes and that type of thing, just to give it that clean, seamless look.
Yeah, and from a builder's perspective, it's always good to express the joint and not, the square set, everything hidden, it's just, there's obviously movement and connecting things, that is your point of movement.
Yes.
I mean, there is movement in transporting it as well. Yeah. So that's why when we get to site, we've got those expansion joints. Yeah,
that's what I love about the Hardie Fine texture boards. They have just express joints.
Yes.
And you don't try and hide them, you just sort of celebrate them, which makes for a really good situation for the builders because you never have to come back fix cracks.
Yeah.
Because every single joint is the kind of point.
And also maintenance for clients. So that's also for that budget conscious in terms of longevity of the home and not having to come back and fill those cracks or get trades on site every couple of years to fix those types of things.
So I looked at the handbook that you guys kind of created and it's got a lot of different connections and continuity with the way you work with cladding. Can you give us some insights to what you've done there?
With the modular build, we've been able to use multiple types of cladding to achieve the mid-century modern design that
and that was done. The big focus was trying to get that dominant horizontal banding. So we've used a stria board on the top there with a cantilevered like front, and then also we use a different the Axon 400, so the wider boards mixed with the shorter boards to give you a bit of contrast.
I'm sure people they kind of don't know where to start with mid-century modern. So looking at this sort of handbook would be a great way for people to say, well, I've got this budget and I like this. You can kind of then look at that and take those principles to an architect or a builder and you've got a great starting point, right? Like,
I agree, Neil. And also it doesn't matter whether you've got the 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, you can design to your budget for mid-century modern.
Yeah. So what else can we expect to find in the handbook?
In the mid-century modern handbook, you'll also see some guidelines on colours that we've selected for our design, just to help anyone who's looking at a mid-century modern design, and as well as the different materials.
Yeah, colour's a big one because I mean, there's not normally any colours used.
No, it's very
mid-century.
neutral.
Yeah,
ones.
it's very
Trying to make sure
neutral.
people know that.
Yeah.
Because, you come and say, I want a bright blue mid-century modern. So giving people a guide is great.
Yeah.
Some of the tapware that we've used throughout this as well is that brass tapware, so it just brings that element of colour through the home as well, where we've kept it quite neutral with the whites and the woods.
So what else do we expect to find in the handbook?
Along with the cladding recommendations for the mid-century modern design, we've also included an interior palette with colours.
And also all the materials like timber and concrete, which always goes well with mid-century modern home.
And I saw some landscaping too.
Yeah, like I said before, landscaping is crucial and it's really important. So we try to incorporate as much as we can throughout the house.
Yeah, so I reckon piecing all them together, for someone watching, for you guys it's easy, but for them, I think that's imperative to just have that, to take that as a starting point, and then they're on their way.
Yeah. And they can adapt it to whichever size home they would like, whether it's a smaller 1-bedroom home right up to a 4-bedroom home.
Yeah. Well, Dan and Natalie, thanks so much for that. That was super insightful. I learned a lot. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Neil.